What is up guys, Jeremy here again, and today we're going to be looking at a new bike that I've been testing for the past few weeks. It is the Avocado e-bike. Check it out. Now what you're looking at today is the Twitter mid-drive premium e-bike. Now this bike I've been riding for the past few weeks. It's been a really good bike. We'll go through some of the quick specs on there and also how I felt using it and if I recommend it overall. The build of the bike, is actually really good. So it's well built. It's actually a mountain bike compared to the previous bike I reviewed, where that one was actually all designed to be an electric bike. This is actually a mountain bike with an additional motor to it to make it an e-bike. Now this bike is what's called the Twitter bike. Now it's a Mantis 2.0 if I'm not mistaken. I'll put it again on somewhere on the screen for you. But this bike is actually a really decent bike. It's got your front suspensions on there, so making it ride nice and smooth. And also you've got your 9-speed gear changes as well. Now the cool thing about having those 9-gear speed changes is that you can adjust your speed accordingly to how you need it for what you're riding. So if you're climbing up a bit of a hill, I normally go down to maybe gear 5 or 4 and then on level 3 on the power as well. So I'll get to the power part of that for you in a moment. Now let's talk about the battery. The unit that they gave me is a demo unit, so it's probably been used quite a few times and the battery's gone through some cycles, but it's good. Like, it's a decent battery. I have to charge it every night, so when I get home from work, I'm left with about half a battery. And I tried to use the whole battery once, and I think on the way back from work, it did cut out and I had to pedal the whole way home, sweating really badly as well.
Oh, poor baby.
But the battery for a day use, you can get a whole day use out of it with no issues. You've got, like I said, at the end of the day, you still have half a battery left and you can use that to go to the shops or anything like that after work or during the day as well. What their rating is that you get about 80 to 120 kilometers if you're just using the pedal assist. And I think they've said if you're using it on level 2 or 3 on the motor controller. If you're just using the throttle, so this does have a throttle, it's saying you can get 60 to 50 kilometers out of the full batteries. If you're letting the motor do all the work, it's going to use up more battery, but if you're assisting it, it's obviously going to use less. The battery also has a USB port, so you can charge your devices there on the go. So if you've been using your phone all day, you can charge that while you're riding home. It's a really cool feature. And also you've got an indicator, so you don't have to always plug in your battery to the bike to find out how much battery is left. Charging time, it does take a while. Like, I've noticed that if I leave it for about 2 or 3 hours, it's still going. I didn't do a full time on there because I just left it doing it overnight, but let's just say for fun's sakes, give it at least 4 hours to charge before it has a full battery. Now it is a removable battery, so one of the benefits here is that you don't have to bring your bike up to where you're going to be charging or find a plug nearby. You can remove the battery with a key, so it keeps it nice and secure, and then you can take it home or to the office, put it on charge. So now let's talk about performance. This all depends on each person depending on your weight. Now for my experiences, obviously if you're weighing lighter than me, you'll be getting higher specs than what I've been getting. On using just a pedal assist to get me from A to B or on a flat surface, my speed has been around about 40 kilometers per hour. Whereas if I use the throttle, it kind of stopped around that 35 mark and probably under depending on what gears I'm on as well. So knowing what gear you can get the higher speed is going to be crucial here, because then if you wanted to go faster, I've noticed that about gear 5 is probably your best spot to get a good fast speed where there's enough traction for the motor to kick in, as well as giving you a nice ride or that nice speed that you're after. Now the bike is actually fitted with some top quality gears as well. So it's all built with the Shimano gears, and you've also got your Shimano brakes. So the brake systems are very responsive, but with a powerful bike like this, you do need to have some great brakes. Now, having said about the powerful bike, I do believe it is too powerful. This is a 350 watt motor e-bike. Now in Australia, there are laws into how much watts can your e-bike have. If you have a bike that's only pedal assist, 250 watts is the maximum. If you have one with just throttle, 200 is the maximum that you can have on there. So this bike is not designed for roads. But having said that, Avocado bikes have told me that they can actually go into the electronics and limit it to being only a 250 watt motor motor. So if you do want to take it off roads, they can take that limit off for you, and then you can get a little bit faster speed. So this bike is an off-road bike. So it is a great bike in regards to that, just sheer performance. If you want something that's fast, this is a great bike for you. Having a great braking system is going to be crucial, especially with that much of power. Now with the speed controls, you have 5 levels of it. So you can choose from 1 all the way up to 5, depending on how much you want the motor to assist you with your ride. One thing I have to say I love about this bike is the ease of hills and steep climbs that it's given me. It's really like for me to get to work, there are about 3 or 4 hills that are very steep. That I know that if I do climb on a normal bike, I'll be sweaty, I'll need a shower when I get to work and everything like that. I practically just want an e-bike for me to get to work without using public transport, getting in a car, because in Sydney it is packed on the trains and the roads are just impossible to drive on without getting furious. So having an e-bike and taking me to my work without me getting sweaty is probably the best thing. Riding this bike up a hill is like cutting butter. It is smooth. It requires minimum effort, and by the time you get up there, you're just like, oh, it's already done. You just get there really quickly and with minimal effort. So let's do a quick little spec blast. The bike has the Shimano M370 9-speed. It is also equipped with a Shimano TX805 disc brakes. The weight of the bike itself is about 19 kilos, so be aware of this, especially if you're using this on a train and needed to get it off down the stairs or something. It is a little bit heavy. It's not really that light. And the load capacity I've been told is about 150. So the battery is a 48 volt, 10.8 amp hour LG cell Li-ion battery. For me, it'll last the whole day. Maybe for someone light, it'll give you 2 or 3 days, depending on how much you use it for as well, and how many kilometers you ride it for. Now, if you guys want to know the specs of the wheels, it is a 27-inch Kenda K1187, just really big chunky wheels. I love this because, especially being a big guy myself, having these wheels, it makes it much more comfortable to ride, and it's got a better grip onto the road too. Now, the motor that's installed on this bike is a Bafang 48 volt, 350 watt mid-drive system. So what this means, you've got 2 types of drive systems on an e-bike. You've got the mid ones, which is actually powered by the center of the actual bike, where your drivetrain is where you're pedaling. And then you've got ones that have a hub motor in the back wheel. Okay, so now let's go through some of my experience with this bike here. It is a very good bike and very comfortable to use and ride as well. It's got some big wheels, the motors are very powerful, climbs up hills really nicely. All those things are great. But there are a couple of things that I want to mention. So firstly, look, again, this could be a demo thing, and it could be it's been used over and over again, and things have happened to it that they haven't attended to. There was one day when I was riding, my back wheel had a flat tire and I still had a long way to go. Had to take it to a bike shop. They looked into it. They also noticed that the disc brake of the rear wheel was bent, causing it to cause friction against the brake, meaning that the motor and myself had to use more energy and power to go for a full rotation. When he showed me that, he actually fixed it up for me. It was so much better. It would glide on downhills faster. It would use less battery. I noticed that I had more battery at the end of it as well. So it did make a difference. Another thing that I've noticed is that the chains kept on falling off at certain times. If I was going down a gutter or going down, crossing the road, and there was a little bit of a ramp, sometimes if any sort of shock movement, I noticed that the chains would fall off. So that's one thing I noticed that they maybe could have tuned up a bit more. If you do get one of these bikes, just make sure that you give it a bit of a test run, give them some feedback in regards to if it's riding well, if you're having any issues. I'm sure they'll be able to help out. Now, if you look on the handlebar as well, one thing that I have to say is that when you're getting an e-bike, and I'm not used to this yet, but there are a lot of things on your handlebar. You've got the display, you've got the throttle, the turn on and off button with your adjustments of levels. It starts to add up, and then you add your phone in there if you wanted to have a Google Maps running there or tracking your ride as well. You know, there's just seems to be a lot of things on this. And another thing, speaking of the throttle, is that the throttle is a bit weird being on the right hand side, especially that you've got the gears there. I would prefer it to have it on the left hand side, especially if you can have it much closer to the handlebars. Overall, this bike is really good for the money. For about 1,800 Australian dollars, it's got great performance, it's got great battery, for the day that is. And you've got a good build, comfortable ride, and to be honest, it's encouraged me to ride to work more often. Other than that, I think this bike is really cool. I reckon you should guys check it out. I'll leave the links down below as well for you, so you guys check out. Please let me know what you think. If you guys got any better ideas, any other better bikes that you guys want me to review, and I will see you guys on the next video. Laters.